On November 11, 2000, nearly 65,000 fans came here to watch Lavelle Edwards' last home game. All of them waiting to send Coach Edwards off with a victory. 27 quarterbacks had started games for BYU under the watchful eye of Coach Edwards, but only one would start his last home game. That quarterback was Brandon Doman, and it was his first start. That's pressure. And this is Legends.
He didn't really ever get much of a chance. He was like a second or third quarterback on the depth chart that year.
My first start here at BYU happened to be the last game in the stadium in the year 2000. And here I was, the starting quarterback of BYU. Lavelle Edwards is retiring. It's his last game to coach in the stadium that they built while he was the head coach. And I'm standing in the locker room preparing to get ready to come out on the field to be his starting quarterback. I was humbled. I couldn't have been more grateful and excited for the chance. It was as memorable of an experience as I've ever had. And we carried Coach Edwards off the field from his last game here.
Doman keeps the ball, gets his head nearly taken off, and now he breaks into the open and will score. Touchdown, Brandon Doman.
Brandon, how many days do you think you've actually spent here in Lavelle Edwards Stadium?
Well, that's a great question. I would say that I've been in the stadium every Saturday since 1983, probably until now. So months, years of time.
Think you'd be better. No, okay.
Brandon has always been, even when he was little, he's always been more the quiet one of the four brothers, kind of reserved.
We'd go over and hang out, and Brandon would be roaming around the house. You know, he's in 8th, 9th grade, and Brandon would walk in the room and just kind of check things out and look around. And he's sucking in all the information, and you could tell he was always learning, even at that age.
We are a really close family, and so that meant a lot. That meant a lot of fun, also a lot of competition. My dad built a triple bunk bed. What we would do is we would make that bed an end zone. And so it was rugby / wrestling / football / kill each other to get to the bed. And we had a lot of fun in that room, competing and fighting.
I would like to say that when he was in the early years as an athlete, he kind of felt like because his older brothers were successful, he was going to be great automatically.
We'd go watch Brandon when he was little, when he was first starting out. And, you know, my brothers and I, we were all wide receiver, kind of, you know, aggressive, intensive kind of athletes. And Brandon, when we watched him play, he was a little different than that. He was more nonchalant and maybe not so aggressive. You know, we'd watch him and say, well, you know, maybe he's not really cut out for sports so much, you know, but maybe he could be a good dancer someday or something, you know.
But when he turned 13, 14, something happened in him. I guess it was the testosterone or something surged through his body, and he made up his mind. He was going to outdo all of them.
So it looked like you grew up in a pretty athletic family. Sports was happening all around you all the time. What do you think changed for you?
Well, I was in the 8th grade and transitioning into the 9th grade, and there was an award called Athlete of the Year Award. I wanted to be the Athlete of the Year at Churchill Junior High School, and that meant you had to play every sport. And so I ran track, I played volleyball, I played basketball, and the last sport remaining was wrestling. And I decided that I was going to win that. That at some point I needed to figure out how to wrestle. And when I realized that physically I could not only win, but that I could dominate it at some level, I think that struck a chord in me physically and athletically. Really a mindset change for me, and I think I took off with the right mindset as an athlete from that moment on.
So did you win Athlete of the Year?
I did, yeah.
You're going into high school. What did you want to accomplish at that point?
Well, I had longed to play football at Skyline. And one thing that I knew was that there was a chance, a slight chance, that I could become the starting quarterback at Skyline as a sophomore. I knew that hadn't been done maybe ever, I don't know, but I knew there was a chance. So I was highly motivated to get into the mix with the other quarterbacks that were challenging that spot, and I was a highly motivated young man coming in at that time.
I had the real pleasure of coaching Brandon Doman while he was in high school here at Skyline. He's just a tremendous individual. He just has a lot of magic about him. People would come and we'd have standing room crowds only just to watch Brandon Doman play here at Skyline.
We met in high school, and I was a sophomore and Brandon was a junior, and my parents were excited about that. And so they bought tickets to a Billy Joel concert. I didn't know who to ask. So little did I know, my brother said, I'll handle it. And in pottery class, he auctioned off the ticket. And Brandon was the highest bidder at $16. And so he went and had a great time, and then we just kind of been together ever since.
When he was a junior in high school, that's when it really occurred to me that he was special. His probably his best friend, or one of his best friends, Steve Corey, they called him Q. And Q was at our house. He started getting sick. When he got really sick, my dad took him down to his house. And it was a couple hours later after that, they took him to the hospital. He ended up having meningitis, spinal meningitis, and before the night was over, he ended up dying. I watched Brandon the day of the funeral, and in a very unusual way for someone that was that young, he was 16 or 17 years old, he was comforting his fellow teammates and friends. He became a leader that day, and I think he decided that it somehow settled on his shoulders to help console these people in the room, and he did that. He just kind of walked around and was buoying people up, and since that day I believed he was going to do some great things.
Well, we have a saying in our family, and that is, if your mind can conceive it and you can believe it, then you will achieve it. And that has really stuck with Brandon. I mean, he's decided what he's wanted to do, and he has gone after it with everything he had.
All right, so there's a lot of things that happened to you in high school, especially your junior year. You meet your future wife.
Yeah, I met my future wife and lost my best friend on about a 4-month period of time. And he was my best friend, and he was the center, and I was the quarterback. I love football. I love having teammates. I love the brotherhood that comes from that, the family feel that comes from that. And this was my brother, Q. As I watched all my friends and peers maybe struggle through that a little bit, I felt really buoyed up and strengthened, really strengthened. And so I felt like I could be a strength to others. And that impacted me as well as a person and maybe as an influence on others.
You've mentioned you won the state championship that year. What was that like for you?
There's nothing better than high school football. I've played at all levels now, and just the community feel, the neighborhood feel of lining up on a Friday night, having gone to all the games your whole life, with all of your very best friends that you'd grown up with, and then playing a game together, blood, sweat, and tears, and then actually putting together a span of an undefeated season and win it all at the end. For me, was the highlight of a football career, was winning that state championship together with my very best friends. My goal was to play here in this stadium eventually, and there wasn't any deterring me at that point.
He came from a high school where they were just pretty big running school, and he was trying to play quarterback for one of the best schools in the country as a quarterback, and he had it hard.
He could run well, but he had an unusual kind of a throwing motion. He was a little bit more flat and on the top.
First, they wanted him to play defense, and because they had so many quarterbacks lined up, He didn't want to. He even thought at a time to move to Utah because his wife was finishing up her education at the University of Utah.
The more I came down here, the less I felt wanted as a quarterback. And I remember getting in my car and just driving up to Salt Lake. I didn't tell anybody I was doing that. I just got in my car, drove to Salt Lake, and parked in front of the University of Utah's football office. I said, "Is Coach McBride here?" And she said, "You know, he's busy." And I said, "Well, can I at least visit with him for a minute? Can you tell him that Brandon Doman's here?" And she did, and sure enough, he said, "Bring him up." And I went up to his office and asked him if he had a scholarship for a quarterback. And he said that he would love to have me there as a quarterback, but that he wanted me to go home and think about it and come back when I was very serious, and that was the decision I wanted to make. And I did. I went home that night and realized that I didn't prepare myself my entire life to be a quarterback at the University of Utah. I prepared to be the quarterback here at BYU. And I remember going home making a decision at that point that no one was going to tell me no, and that I was going to live up to what I had aspired to do, and decided to stay at BYU.
But finally, when everybody got hurt, he got to play and won the first 14 games of his college career.
You make the decision to come here. You don't play quarterback for a while. You're pretty patient.
It's hard, and so I just worked. I remember preparing and preparing and preparing and putting extra time, and I probably drove the coaches crazy, but I was going in there and asking for time, asking for film time. Will you watch this practice with me? Will you prepare me? So I started the second to last game of the 2000 season, and then I went on to play 16 games straight and then graduated from BYU.
The last game of the year, of course, was one of the more unbelievable endings. We've had a history of great endings against Utah. That was my last year. We had got out to a good lead, and then we fell behind.
And the Utah fans were throwing their hats in the air, and Ron McBride, the coach, was running up and down the field, waving his hat. Everybody was celebrating on the Utah side, and all of a sudden, on fourth down, Brandon threw a 39-yard pass.
Here's 4th and 13. Last gasp time for the Cougars. Doman lets it go, and it is caught at midfield. Jonathan Pittman makes the catch, and the Cougars are still alive.
There was now just a few seconds left in the game, and so what we were going to do is just roll out and then get in good field position and kick a field goal.
Plenty of time to throw. Great job by Doman. 3 tight ends.
Well, he rolls out and rolls all the way into the end zone, carries it all the way in the end zone. So then we went on to win the ball game, and it was just really a tremendous finish.
All right, Brandon, here's the competition that we've got set up. This is going to be just your basic, I don't know what terms you use, just kind of
called a QB challenge.
QB challenge, drop back, roll left, throw at the target, do it again, roll right. And if you hit the target, then we'll subtract 2 points, or 2 seconds. And if you miss the target, we'll add 2 seconds.
Are you planning on hitting the target?
Not at all, actually.
I was going to say we deduct 5 seconds if you're going to aim.
Let's just go with 2. Okay. Just call it good. I'll let you start since this is your field.
Okay. And you're going to copy what I do then?
Probably step for step. Okay. You tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
You good?
I'm ready.
You run really well in high heels.
All right. Oh, hit
look at that.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Okay. It was 11 seconds.
So minus 4 seconds.
Minus 4 seconds, 7 seconds.
7 seconds.
Wow.
You know how to get in a quarterback stance, right?
It's like this, right?
Sure.
Is that good?
I think that's
no.
do just
You
fine.
tell me, Coach.
No, you
Come
look
on.
fine.
You ready?
Fine. Ready.
Oh, is that right? I did right?
Careful.
Oh,
almost.
Man.
Don't fall down. You got to keep 2 hands on the
right
ball.
way? Shoot, I don't know. Dang it. Shoot. You stop it.
13. I stopped
13
it.
seconds.
I stopped it a second late.
Okay, all right. Well, look, obviously you did a little better.
Okay.
I'd like to set this up again and do it one more time.
That's fine.
Give me some pointers. Coach me, coach me.
Okay, I'll be happy to help you. You
Because
ready?
I ended up with, what, 17 seconds?
A few things. There's really 3 things that make a great quarterback: timing, decision-making, and accuracy. Okay, and the real challenge for you right now
Is timing, decision-making, and accuracy? Just those 3?
are the three components. The reality here for you is you got to speed up a little bit.
Go faster?
And then ideally, we'd like to hit the target. So I'm going to actually demonstrate that for you.
Please.
The timing, the decision-making, and the accuracy
Gotcha.
for you. As you drop out of this thing, I want you to dip your shoulder and turn and run. Now, for the accuracy, you need to get 4 eyes on the target. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you get all 4 eyes on the target, chances are pretty good you're going to be accurate.
Chances are. I'm not a gambling man, but yeah. All right, so your college career is coming to an end, and you've got to prepare for something after that. What do you start looking forward to?
Well, I came to the realization that I was going to have a chance to play in the NFL. And I thought, this is just bizarre to me that I'm now looking to an opportunity to potentially be in the NFL. And so I started preparing for the draft. I selected an agent and put the time and the energy into being a draft pick. I ended up being in the 5th round of the San Francisco 49ers.
Where do you fit in the whole order there?
Well, the 49ers had an all-pro quarterback. His name was Jeff Garcia. He was going into, I think he'd been an all-pro 2 years in a row. And they had some other all-pro players on their team. I remember walking into the locker room the very first time, and as they escorted me through the front lobby, there were 4 Super Bowl trophies. This was the San Francisco 49ers, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Super Bowl champs, one of the greatest organizations of all time. And they escorted me past that for the first day that I was in there. It was so surreal to me that I still look back at it and just couldn't believe that it was happening. I was coming in fighting for a 3rd string spot. They had a solidified starter, they had a solidified backup, and I was coming as a guy just battling to get on the roster and be the 3rd string quarterback. Because they had selected me in the 5th round, they gave me a lot of opportunity to win that job. But over time, they eventually let one go. There was 5 of us. They let one go, and then towards the end of fall camp, they let another guy go, and I became the 3rd string quarterback. I was really working hard, but what I realized is I was working hard to be able to be a coach someday, which I didn't realize. But it was a great rookie season, and I went on to play 3 seasons.
When he was playing college ball, I told him, do anything you want to do, but be a coach.
I get a phone call from a dear friend of mine who was the athletic trainer here, the head athletic trainer named George Curtis. He says, you're supposed to be the quarterback coach. I just laughed and said, no, I'm not. They've got other guys more qualified and much better positioned to be the quarterback coach than I am. I'm playing football. But I knew that I had to pick up the phone and call my wife.
He called me one night and he just said, hey, George, Curtis, the trainer from BYU, called, and Coach Mendenhall's the new coach, and he really thinks that I need to call him and apply for this, to be the quarterback coach.
I'm nervous. I'm scared to death because I know she's going to say, you kidding me? No way are you going to do that.
He was nervous to call me because he knew what I felt about it.
And she says, Brandon, you'll be great.
And I just instantly knew, just kind of instinctively, that he would be great at it. And I just told him that.
I was floored.
I said, you need to call him, you'll be great. And so he did. Here we are.
During the year, there's about 4 different types of things we'll be doing. The 49ers used to do that with Jerry Rice, and when I was there with T.O. Now as the offensive coordinator, the responsibility now is on me to make sure that the scheme is right, that the coaches are prepared, and that what we're coaching and implementing can be transitioned and applied to our players now. I like to get away. I'm one of 4 boys, as we've talked about, and we are the world's best foursome in golf.
That means you let people play through whenever they come up on you.
We hit it all over the place, but we have a phenomenal time out there. I really don't do much golfing with anybody else but them. My wife is way into water sports and skiing, and so we'll take time in July to go out and get on the lake and water ski, and we have a dog. I like to get the dog up in the mountain, camp, and do those kinds of things. So when there's a time to completely remove myself from football, we remove ourselves from football. And then I love going out to eat. I love getting my wife and Friday night or whatever and going out and eating some good food. Most staffs in America work all day Sunday. So all the work that they're doing on Sunday, we're catching up on early in the morning on Monday, which would be a film review and grading of the previous game to now preparation for the next opponent. And then Tuesday is the real work day with the players, where you're now installing and inputting all the game plans and scheme for that week's game. And at the end of practice that night, 6, 7 o'clock at night, we go home. I think that's the beauty and the joy of working at BYU is we have families and we recognize that and we want to go home. And our head coach, Coach Mendenhall, provides that atmosphere for us as a coaching staff.
Did you feel like everything had led up to that moment there? I mean, you're coming back to coach.
The things that I had experienced in those football moments in my life undoubtedly had prepared me for this moment, to be the quarterback coach. It's an interesting job because you're dealing with 18-year-olds and 25-year-olds, but they needed somebody to relate to, and I was probably the perfect guy for them to relate to at the time. Now, having been a starting quarterback, having had success, have won all the games, been drafted into the NFL, so all the aspirations that these kids have, hey, I want to be BYU's quarterback, I want to play in the NFL, and then also have experienced having been the last guy on the depth chart. And so the kids that come into the room now to coach, I don't know that there's anything that they're going to go through that I hadn't gone through. And so, man, it helps me relate to the different experiences that they're having and be able to communicate with them. Coaching has been far more fulfilling than playing. Playing provided the opportunity for me to be a coach. And that's the way I look at it. All the years of preparing, because I'm going to coach a heck of a lot longer than I played.
That's one of the things that I really admired about him, was he stayed, he persevered through it, and he ended up, I mean, he was a Heisman hopeful. He was running for Heisman. You know, going from no one believing in you, I mean, and to see where he went with that was one of the things that I'll always remember.
He's just genuine, I think is how I would describe him. He's just real. He doesn't want the spotlight on him. He wants to live his life, and he's a really hard worker.
One thing is for certain, and you know what that one thing is. The best quarterback that ever came out of Skyline High School was me.
Thank you very much for being what you are and who you are.
I love you, you're the best, and we're sure proud of you. Keep tearing it up, and you're awesome.
I'm just so proud of the way you have lived your life and what you have accomplished in all areas of your life, and I love you very much.
I love you, and just have been the luckiest girl ever to have kind of grown up with you, and I've just enjoyed watching you make your goals and achieving them. Love you.
It's pretty awesome.
To have family members talking about you like that is a unique experience, and to be on the show is probably not fair. It would be better to have everybody have the chance to do that. So I'm humbled that this occurred.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and you truly are a legend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
You ready?
On the snap.
Okay. Nice dip, good
Four
decision
eyes
making,
on the
4
target.
eyes.
Got
Nice. Okay, you hit it. Good.
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah,
4 eyes on
kinda.
the target. Got it.
Wow. 11 seconds again, so we're gonna take 2 seconds off for each hit. 7 seconds. You're at 14 seconds. So when I snap it is when you start going.
Yes. Okay.
How's that?
Four
Does that
eyes.
work?
Four eyes.
eyes.
Got
Whoops.
it.
I accidentally hit it.
Okay. Okay. Don't fall down. Don't fall down.
Don't fall down.
Hit the bag.
Hip. Oh, stop it. Did you stop it?
I did. I did.
Okay.
So let's do the math. Where are you?
9 seconds.
9 minus 4, that's 5, plus 17, that's 22.
I'd say that was not bad on your part. Pretty bad on my part.
Oh, not bad. His second time was decent, but
I did better. Thanks for the tips. Let's just get out of here. Our hair is just getting blown all over the place.